I mean, the guys executed extremely well, executed at a high level. We had no penalties up front, which went into last week. That was a huge emphasis all week, and the guys came through. I was really proud of them. No pre-snap penalties, no penalties post-snap. It was really really good. Good job by those five guys and the tight ends, up front. I was just proud of the way they just kept fighting. We knew going into the second half, we knew it was going to be a tough challenge. We knew how good that defense was, especially in the second half, and how they just they played teams. They just executed well in the second half, and we had to be able to show up and we had to be able to play well, and we did, and we ended up scoring 14 points in the fourth quarter, which was obviously huge in the difference of the game. But I was just proud of the way the guys executed and handled their business all week, and then it translated on the field on Saturday.
Can you run us through what it was like on the headset? PJ calls the timeout before fourth and inches. What was the feedback or what was the conversation like between you and him? And
Yeah.
when did they actually get decided that you were going to go with the push
I mean, it was Coach Fleck obviously made the decision to go for it. A lot of things went into that. I think ultimately it was just, putting it on the offensive guys' backs a little bit, and then knowing our defense was going to be able to come up with a stop on the final possession. But I think it was just, we felt really good about it. I mean, I think it was first and goal on the 7, I think, and we got all the way to inches from the goal line, and we just felt like as that timeout went on, like if we can get 6 inches against his defense, we deserve to win the game. And it was, it was one of those things. It was a great push by Jamison and Nick Callerup, and obviously Darius was right there. But I was just proud of the guys. Just they wanted to go for it too. The players did, and we put it on the offensive line's back, and they came through.
Screens have been big the past few weeks. What does it take to effectively teach screens so everyone's like the landmarks and every time?
There's a lot of different things to it. Obviously, the one I think we had to start the second half to Marcus slip screen. That's a big one because it's really the timing and how he reads a certain defensive lineman up front, and then it's just the timing of the quarterback too, of being able to, whether it's a fake. We did it with a fake against Michigan off of an orbit motion. We did it last week with a little bit of a fake to the right side of the field, and be able to get it back to Marcus. The timing of the offensive line, how they do it, the screen that we threw to Darius. I think it was the first play of the final drive of the game, was off of a keeper action. And that's big because it's the same thing, like we're selling one play and then going back to the other. And I think the biggest coaching point on that is just being able to get the landmark of the running back correct so that he doesn't out-leverage the offensive line. That's a big coaching point with that one. So there's a lot of small details that go into every single screen. We have the one screen that we've used a ton this year so far on the one that just gets thrown out into space to a wideout. I think we've thrown it. I don't know if we've thrown it to Darius yet, but I know that we have practiced that certain kind of thing. But that's another one where it's just the timing of the set by the offensive line. So like, I just went through 3 different screens that we have in our offense, and just those are just the minor details, and it's just the way the players have executed them. And again, I can't remember if it was last week or the week before. What I talked about was you have to figure out, all right, what your offense is going to look like in the spring. Training camp, you're really just working on run and pass. It's that simple, and executing those concepts and those run schemes. And then you kind of figure out as the season goes along how can you put those things in there, because they're really auxiliary plays that complement things. Those screens are giving the offensive line a ton of relief in the pass game. It's also giving them a ton of relief setting up the run. And I really like throwing it to our players. I love throwing the ball out in space to Daniel Jackson. And, I mean, that's part about being a smart coach. Let's throw it to the athletic guys and let them go play. So I think it's been good. The players have really taken a hold of it and taken accountability and made it really good.
What do you think was key to getting the running game going? That was the most consistent it's been in a Big Ten game all year.
Yeah, it was funny because I said to Coach Cal early in the week, I said, we really got to take an emphasis on, establishing the run. And that was going into the Michigan game. And in that first half, we ran it efficiently. And then obviously certain situations come throughout the game where you have to abandon it based off score or situation. And then I went into the USC game. We really took a great approach on Tuesday's practice of working on certain runs and really working on it so the guys know that I'm going to call those in the game. And my message to them was obviously the pre-snap penalties. the holdings, the things like that were hurting us. The other thing was, hey, let's make sure we execute these runs on Tuesday, so it gives me the confidence to be able to call it and execute it in the game. I think the under center helped a ton. That was one thing that we've used during the season, but then we really took a vested interest in it against USC, and it was good. And it sets up against certain opponents, and other opponents it doesn't. I think the running backs, they were very patient. They did a lot of nice things, and it's still things that they can continue to clean up as well. But I was just excited about two things: we didn't really hurt ourselves, and then secondly, those guys ran off the ball. They were aggressive, they were decisive, they trusted what they saw, they played fast, and they played hard, and it turned out to be okay. You see what our backs did. I can't remember the exact number, but we had a ton of yards after contact. And when people, sometimes yards after contact can be looked at negatively, like they're getting hit behind the line of scrimmage and then they turn it into a 4-yard gain or an 8-yard gain. They were getting hit on the other side of the line of scrimmage. And that's a testament to the O-line. That's a testament to our backs that they were breaking tackles and being able to turn those plays into 8-yard runs or a 20-yard run or a 40-yard run, whatever it may be. And so I think it was really cool to see it all come together.
What stands out to you about UCLA?
They got a great defensive tackle, number 93. Really, really stout in the run game, really explosive. I really like the one defensive end they have, number 2. That guy, he's played linebacker, he's played defensive end. They've kind of moved him around. You can see his skill set. They try to utilize that even on third down. And their secondary, I think the safety, I think is number 4. He's extremely long, really, really good open field tackler. They're kind of the same thing. You look at how Michigan was, and Michigan's in that first year of that system. And then you look at UCLA, they're in the same thing with that first year in the system, and then USC. Like they're working through, and you can see them really start to execute things. And it's really starting to come together as the season goes along. But I'm excited for the challenge because I think that they do a really good job up front with their defensive line, and their back end's really active. It's going to be a great challenge. We're looking forward to it.
Since USC and UCLA were announced a couple years ago,
Yep.
in the Big Ten, what type of impact does that have in your recruiting to California and beating teams like you did this week? Does that help?
I think it always has a big help in recruiting, especially if we can obviously beat them. We beat USC. That's going to help. That opens up eyes in California in all areas of it. We're going to go where the best players are, but obviously we know that the state of California has a lot of great prospects, and we want to be able to utilize that and be able to get in there and get our footprint in there and continue to recruit those guys out there.
How impressed were you with the way the wide receivers were able to go out and perimeter and make
Awesome.
runs?
Yeah, it's like Max kept saying it throughout the whole week. It was just it was impressive to see Lemecki. You can watch the second down play that Darius got to the 1-yard line. We shifted to an unbalanced set, and Lemecki was he's at the point of attack. The point of attack with I think Tay and Quinn, Callerup was there, and I think and Lemecki was right there. And I mean Lemecki, the way he hit that guy, the way he blocks and what he does for his teammates. I was just really happy for him, and then he got that drive started. We ran 4 verts, and he was the one who ended up making the big catch down our sideline. And I think it was like a 25-yard gain that turned into getting the drive going. I was just really excited for him. Daniels, obviously, you put on the tape with him. That's one of his most underrated things. But I'm just excited about those guys taking that. That's Coach Simon. He puts a huge interest into that. They work on it every single day. But Lemecki, that's the one thing. You watch number 0 out there. Watch him in short yardage. He doesn't come off the field. Most wideouts shy away from that stuff. Lemecki Brockington does not. And, it was a huge block. I think it was 2 straight plays that he ended up doing that. And, I'm really excited for him and how he's continued to grow.
What's the key to eliminating self-inflicted wounds 2 weeks in a row?
Focus. It's been the same thing I've continued to say. Said it on Tuesday, said it on Sunday, said it this morning. It's just focus on the detail and discipline football. And last week we were just attempting to be detailed and disciplined. Now I've added that word focus into it. So now we've accomplished it. We showed that we can do it. Now we have to focus on it every single snap. I think it's just cool to see, and it's great because you watch the guys come in on Tuesday and they're so locked in and they know, okay, we don't put the ball in harm's way. We had the 1 turnover at the end of the first half, and it didn't end up costing us, but we were able to learn from that. But then you look at the lack of penalties. We had the one penalty on Lemecki. That was a hold out there on the perimeter. But I mean, like it's cool to see when you don't do things that hurt yourself throughout the course of a game and you play clean offensive football. You can move the ball, you can execute, you can score, and I'm really excited. I'm excited for the challenge this week because that's part of it too. Every single week's gonna be tough in this league, but being able to go out and execute and play clean football, that's a challenge in itself. And I think our guys are excited for that.
When you see Coy Barrett make a play like he did to end the game, do you ever think, what do you look like on offense?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I always want the best playmakers on offense, but I also want Coach Hetherman to have those guys able to make those plays too, because that gets us the ball back. You know, I'm not surprised. It's funny you asked that question because I was sitting there at the end of practice, and I talked about last week with Daniel, working on the jugs. I see Coy doing the same thing, and the way Coy works, it's really been cool to see. Guy here in the summer, and the impact he's made in special teams, and I know with Coach Hetherman has been really cool to see, and it's just his work ethic. But I think it's cool to see with a lot of our guys and how they work and how they prepare themselves. But I loved how Coy made that play. It was a tough catch, great interception. Maybe we'll see.
Now we're halfway done with the season. How have you seen Max grow from that North Carolina game to now?
You've seen glimpses. It was really cool because the whole narrative, I guess, was tempo against Michigan. He looks really comfortable, all this, all that. Then it goes into last week. I think we tempoed one play, and they brought a double-edge blitz, and I got out of tempo. So it was one of those things that ended up hurting us there. And I knew teams were going to do that. I know teams are going to exploit that. They see how successful it's been. And then you see him huddle, you see him go out, you see him execute the offense. He went 15-19. He's just under 79% completion percentage in that game, in those moments. And the thing was, I went into halftime, and I think he was averaging at times, I think we're like over 15 passes a game, or 15 passes a half in the first half. And I come in, I'm like, hey, you only throw it. We're 5 or 6 at the half. And he's like, Coach, we're just keep running the ball. And I knew, like, at a certain point I had to get him into a little bit of a rhythm because I knew he was going to have to throw the ball at some point. And that's part of it, too. Like, the same thing with the O-line. You got to get those guys in a rhythm up front and seeing the correct thing so we can execute the run. Same thing with handing the ball to the backs. But with Max, he was like, just keep doing what we're doing. Keep doing what we're doing. And then he ended up throwing the ball a number of times in the second half, and he was efficient. He's just seeing the game so well. But it's not a surprise. I say it every single week. He's the hardest worker. He's tireless. He's in there. He works the same hours as us. It's really cool, and it's showing up. But he's a warrior. He's tough. He's leading those guys, and it was cool to see. I mean, he had 3 rushing touchdowns. 2 of them were sneaks. So you see the running backs really start to work to get into the end zone because they know once we get inside the 1, you never know what's going to happen. We might hand it off. We might sneak it. You never know. So it's cool to see him just continue to grow and be a leader and work. But I'm excited about Max. I'm excited about the rest of the season.
Do you call it the tush push? Do you call it the forward plunge? Or what do you call it?
We'll keep that in house. It's an effective thing. I just love how the guys take ownership of it. They take pride in it. The O-line loves it. I think if you ask Quinn Carroll, he'd sneak it the whole game, And so it's fun. It's fun to see the O-line. As soon as they see the sneak get called, they get real excited because it's all about just creating that 1 yard, getting those 6 inches. So I like the play. We're going to continue to use it when it's necessary. Cool. Thanks, guys.
I think just the way our guys responded, every series going out there, taking it one play at a time, responding play after play, and really adjusting to the different things that they threw at us throughout the game. Every series had something a little bit different. There's some tweaks that they had done or, maybe hadn't shown as much of in the run game especially. And the way our guys, didn't always fit it the right way, didn't always make the available play immediately, but our guys just kept fighting. And I thought we responded really well. We created some takeaways, didn't get them off track as much as what I wish we did. But, the message the last 2 weeks has been, when the play is there, we have to make it. Whether it be a tackle or it's an interception or it's the second man getting the ball out. And I thought our guys did that in that game. And I thought we came up with some really big plays, especially third quarter, fourth quarter. Whether those third down stops late in the game, which we struggled on third down last week. But we had 2 huge third down stops there. We get the interception, then we get the stop. The longest play of the day is a 21-yard run, and it's because we punched the ball out. I'm upset we gave up 21 yards in a run, but I'm happy we got the ball back for the offense right there. And there's just there's one time we're beat over the top, and Strigow just wins his one-on-one, affects the quarterback, affects the throw, which is huge. But there were different points in that game where I thought we just, we took positive steps. We grew as a team, as a defense, and I thought we made more plays in that game than we had earlier in the season. And I thought that was guys playing faster, trusting technique, loving one another, and doing a great job together.
How do you go about training your zone drops and getting really precise and tight, especially in the coverage?
So, we've done different things, and this goes all the way back to March, April, spring football. Even before that, getting as many cut-ups, whether it be this defense in the past, different places we've been as coaches, NFL clips, showing them the good, the bad, the ugly, trying to get the guys to understand what we want, the details of it, how teams will try to attack it, and then just getting our guys reps, whether it's in circuits, it's in 7-on-7, it's in team, it's in pods or group, just getting certain guys to work different fundamentals or details. And a lot of our guys, they know how, in the underneath coverage, they've played every area of it. Some guys don't play the post or won't play the deep half or the outside third, but most guys have played almost every single role. So now that they understand what the short dropper is or what the flat dropper is or what the hook to curl player does, I feel like it helps them to have a better understanding of, okay, well, this just happened. I can be a little bit more aggressive here. You know what? I got to make sure I'm getting to my landmark more here. Sometimes it's more of a man key, sometimes it's quarterback progression. And, we play some guys in so many different roles that they've all played different spots within that coverage. So I think it just helps them to understand and work together, whether it's in the back half or, the deep half or in that middle level. And I think that has allowed our guys to do a really good job playing underneath coverage.
You look at the run game this year in the Big Ten, I think opposing quarterbacks running 6.1 yards per carry. How much of it do you put on injuries? You got Eastern and JLR and Matt out. And then how much of it do you just put on execution and
Yeah,
tackles within the
we need to execute better. That's the number one thing. That's been the message. It's, our technique, our everything from up front, our alignments. Last week there were a couple times we really didn't like where our alignments were. And I thought we put ourselves pre-snap in a situation we really didn't want to be in. It helped them on their combos, or they were doing some different pull scheme, trying to create leverage and angles on us to try to get guys free up to the second level. And we got to, it all starts pre-snap. What's our alignment? We got to make sure we're aligned exactly where we want to be based on the formation, based on the defensive call, how we want to execute there. The second thing is we got to make sure we get our hands on our target on the first level. There were times we weren't doing that last week, and we just have to be more detailed, and we have to execute better at that level. At the second level, I feel like there were times we did a great job. We took blocks on, and we put things back into the play, and it helped allow us to make the play. There were other times we tried to slip or skate a block, and all of a sudden now we create a bigger gap, and now it's someone has to make a play in more space. And we just have to understand, do I have time and space? I have that. I can go defeat the block with athletic ability and make the play. I don't have time and space. I got to take the block and I got to put it back, so I got to close a gap. So now it's a phone booth tackle for the corner or the safety or the opposite linebacker or the defensive lineman closing on the backside, whatever our help and our support is coming from. And then there was, at times it was missed tackles. Our best missed tackle of the day is the fumble. We're one-on-one in space. We have, it's going to be a tackle for 0. I get upset. I'm like, oh, we missed tackle, and next thing I know, the ball's out. It's almost good that one happened. But, I just think everything from the details, or the pre-snap alignments, to our target, to our pad level, to getting our feet in the ground, to second level, how we take on blocks, how we sometimes defeat blocks. The third level, sometimes the angles that we're dropping down, to play over the top of the ball. Those have been the major points, really going all the way back. Really, if you want to talk about it, all the way back to North Carolina. And I think we've gotten better at it every single week. We've gotten attacked different ways at different times in the season. Last week, it was a very different scheme than we've seen the first 5 weeks. And I thought our guys, there were times where I thought we handled it very well. There were times we didn't. And, that's been the major emphasis, just making sure we're going to be better this week than we were last week. And last week, there were definitely calls where, I was kind of, hey, I think they're going to throw it here. We're going to play some different things to take away a shot, or we're going to take some things to take away the big play. And I thought our guys really rallied, responded. We got a couple hats to the ball. We swarmed very well all night. We got to continue to work on our angles as we swarm. But I think our guys continue to fight all game. And that was the biggest thing, that I was happy with. We were happy as a defensive staff with, but we definitely have to improve.
Coy had that punch out and then the pick at the end. Is it a situation where he's the type of player that the ball finds him?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple plays in the game. There's one time they run it was like a stretch, or they had a puller and they get the ball out. They had a lead blocker, and it was the perfect example of being young and understanding. Go slip the block and make the tackle. It was awesome to see, and it kind of set the tempo for the rest of the night he had. He puts his hat on the ball and gets the ball out on that long run. He made another play where I think they ran a screen, and it was him and Gooseby. Just the way that they attacked the ball and the way they pressed the hip and the speed that they played at, we were very impressed with it. I just thought overall our guys took some pretty good angles at times to eliminate some big plays where they had some space and they had some really good playmakers that our guys kind of took it away. And then, to go up and compete for that ball at the end of the game, the way he attacked the ball, that's been an emphasis for our guys in practice, the way we drill it, and for him to go do it right away and, make sure he's the one that comes down with the ball. I thought that was, that was elite. But the way that he set the tempo early in the game, that's obviously why he got the reps he did, and he'll continue to get those reps.
You go through school against Lincoln Riley and Eric Bieniemy. What stands out to you about UCLA's offense?
You see what the record is, but it's not what they are on offense. It's not what they are on the field. They've done some really good things, and it's interesting. You go from like the first play of the Indiana game, they fumble the snap. The ball just bounces the wrong way. Indiana gets the ball. Where, there's been times where things have gone well, and there's some definite things in their offense that we have to make sure we cover. We have to make sure, we have to get hats there to make the play, because there's some very challenging things in the scheme. There's some very challenging things with their personnel. They have a couple pretty good backs. There's a couple wide receivers that can really go. Last week, obviously, we're not sure what quarterback's going to play here. We got to prepare for both this week. But, there's definitely some plays where they've had opportunities to take the top off. They've, third down especially, they've been explosive. Going through the third and 3 to 4 cut up, and, third and 5, and all of a sudden it's like a 28-yard gain. It's a 39-yard touchdown pass. And there's some really big plays in those cut-ups. And then there's been times where, they just haven't come down with the ball, or it just hasn't bounced the right way, or, one guy missed the block and they didn't get the ball out. So there's big play potential all over the offense. We have to make sure that we're detailed. We have to make sure we communicate. They give you some hard looks. We got to make sure our guys are all on the same call so that we can execute all game long. All right. Thank you, guys.